Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our first steps in the Kilforth world last week, but hardly our last steps, we're staying in space after playing Undaunted 2200 Callisto last night, and we're playing game number 9 on this year's 10-game challenge list, as we're playing Space Empires 4X from GMT Games. This one has you building up a space civilization, trying to build up your ships to be able to take out the Doomsday Machines. We have to destroy 3 Doomsday Machines using an economic focus in the game. If we do that, we win the game. If our home colony gets destroyed, we lose. Which our home planet is all the way up here, Altair, where we're doing everything in red as usual. You can see here how I normally have the blocks marked off, where my blocks are in red, so I'll be drawing out of my cup for that. Then anything in white is what's considered deep space. So I'll be drawing out of a bigger draw cup for that. Then we've got 5 gold D10s scattered around. Those indicate where the Doomsday Machines will enter. So on a 1-2, the Doomsday Machine will come out here. 3-4 will come out here, and so on. And actually this, I don't know if it's just, maybe it's just the light, but this laser pointer doesn't seem as strong as it usually does. Well, looks like it's coming through fine on camera here. I'm just looking at it in OBS. Everything looks fine there. I've got all my other ships off camera in my on my tracker sheet. So I think we're all set to get into round 1. Now obviously we have no CPs to spend for anything in the first round, so we're on turn 1, and I've got my dial, I've got my clicker dial thing that I used. You might remember this from when I was tracking Nolan Ryan's fatigue from his ribs in Game 4 of the 1985 National League Championship Series. That's the last time you might have seen that on the channel. So given that we also start off with 3 scouts, we've got a miner, a colony ship, and 4 shipyards. I don't want to send the colony ships into any treacherous terrain. So I think we're going to start off by having our scouts moving 1 space in 3 different directions. So we'll actually send Scout 1 down here, Scout 2 over here, Scout 3 up here. So I'll grab my bag for the red blocks, and we'll draw for Scout 1 first. Into the red bag here, and it would be helpful if I turn on this light right at the camera. There we are. Okay. So now we've got our red draw cup ready to go. So we'll draw that out and keep that flat side up. So Scout 1 finds 5 minerals, so we can send the miner after that. Scout 2 will now draw for their scout. So now Scout 2 will find another 5 minerals. So we've got options on where we want to send our miner. Then Scout 3 will find a nebula. So what the nebula does is, there should be a player reference sheet here to explain. Oh, defense technologies are considered 0. So we do need to be very mindful of that. Then looking at turn 2 in the round, as I mentioned, we're definitely going to send the miner after some of these 5 minerals. So we'll bring this miner down here first. Then we'll send Scout 1 out here. Scout 2 will move down, and Scout 3 is going to move toward deep space. All right, the miner here is going to pick up that 5 minerals and bring it back to Altair. We'll start off with Scout 1. We'll see what they're drawing first. We are playing on easy difficulty today, by the way. Scout 1 will draw. Pulling that out flat side down. Whoops. Well, I kind of saw it, but we find asteroids, which that does something screwy to our attack. Attack technologies are considered 0. All ships fire at E, even raiders, okay? So that's done there. Scout 2, looking at J7. Let's see what they find. All right. Oop. Well, I'm seeing it here, so Scout 2 will find Fion, which means we'll want to build another colony ship so we can get a colony down there. We'll do that in the economic phase. Morning, Troy. You'll see I'm starting today's game a little bit, well, about where I normally want to be starting on Sundays, especially with my game group for Arkham Horror, the card game, coming by later this afternoon. So Scout 3 will find another 5 minerals. I'd like some of those minerals to be a little bit closer, but I'm not going to complain about Fion being down here, so I can get a colony ship down there. I can get a colony ship down there in the next round. Turn 3, I can start the colony ship moving. It's going to pass by the miner, wave, hello guys, as the miner brings the minerals back. So the minerals come back. Scout 1 is going to move over to L5. Scout 2 is going to continue moving toward deep space. And Scout 3, I think we're going to continue exploring our space for the time being. I don't want to start branching into deep space just yet. Okay, so now we'll resolve exploration. So Scout 1 is going back into our known space cup. So they will draw. Not wanting to flip over. There we go. Another 5 minerals. Scout 2, which is down here. They will draw. Essen, another planet. I'm not sure how in love I am with Essen being that far forward. Because let me zoom in here so you can see why I'm not completely sold on that. Might be a little bit hard to see, but you see Essen's down here. It's only 3 spaces away from one of the spaces where the Doomsday Machines could potentially enter the board. So that could cause problems later. I'll definitely want to do something about fortifying Essen sooner rather than later. Let's zoom back out and see what Scout 3 is doing on its scouting mission. So now we're scouting up here in K8. Oop, it came out, but we find it came out information side up, but we are turning over another 5 minerals. So that goes to K8. And now that brings us into our first end of round. So we're on round 1 right now, which means nothing's coming out. So now we collect our colony income, which we've got 20 for Altair. I've also got my sheet. I've got my production and technology sheet that I'm keeping off shot. So we've got 20 for Altair. Plus I brought in 5 points of minerals, which means that can return to the box because I will no longer need that for the rest of the game. Here we go. Wanted to find my bag of red components. And I'm not using pipeline because I'm playing what's the word I want? I'm still playing beginner rules only for this one. So that's a total of 25. Let's see, I don't have to pay any kind of maintenance right now. I take that back. I do have to pay for the scouts. I thought there was something there about the scouts are the one ship I don't have to pay maintenance. Nope, looks like colony ships are what I don't have to pay maintenance on. So I do have to pay 3 maintenance because of my 3 scouts being out right now. So I will pay 3 for that. And then I've got 22 to buy ships and all that kind of stuff with. So, what do I want for ships right now? Well, so far, I've got enough colony ships, and I can start colonies on both Essen and Fion next turn. Because in the next round, because I can get a colony ship down to Essen. I'll probably use this one to get there. Then I'll deploy another colony ship from up by Altair to get out to Fion. So the question is, what do I want to build? The only place I can build right now is at Altair, unless I want to do some technology spending to start on that. So we don't need attack. We don't need attack forces just yet for obvious reasons, because the shipyards haven't started coming out, or the Doomsday Machines haven't started coming out yet. So I think I'm going to start off by spending 10 of my CP on ship size technology, which will let me build ship size of 2. Actually, better idea. Instead of spending that first, ship size would let me... Ship size, I believe, lets me build the bigger ships. So I think I will actually... Let's see, you can build 1.5 hull points per shipyard rounded down. So I'm trying to figure out what sequence I'm going to do between ship size and ship yards. Because ship yards lets me build more hull size per shipyard. Ship size lets me build the bigger ships. I think here I'm going to start off... Well, I know I'm getting more colony points. I know I'm getting more mineral points. I'm at least getting these 5 mineral points this round, but I think that's probably all I'm getting. I could build another miner, though, if I want to start moving on more of these mineral points. So let's start off with building... Let's see. Let's go ahead and build... We'll spend on ship yards first. That way I can build more hull points there and at the shipyards. And then I only have 2 CP, which that gets carried over. Which that will get carried over into round 2. And I didn't have any new units to place, so we're not worried about that. Increased colonies. We didn't start any new colonies this round. But we are in round 2 at this point, so now let's start getting these moving. I didn't build a new miner just yet, but I think that'll probably be the next order of business in the next round. So we'll send Scout 1 over to L4. We'll continue exploring our space for the time being. Scout 2 is going to explore at J8. Then the colony ship's going to move to Fion, but it's not stopping there. I would have to declare I'm stopping there to start a colony, but that ship is not going to stop there. I'll move another colony ship down there, and then Miner 1 will come down to K6 to pick up these 5 minerals. Let's see. Oh, we got to move Scout 3 as well. We'll send them over to send that scout over to K9. L4 gets to explore another space of its own. Scout 1 there finds another nebula. So we've got 2 nebulae in our known space. And I don't like that one of them is so close to Altair. That could cause us big problems, especially if a Doomsday Machine spawns up here and immediately makes a beeline for Altair. Which right now, based on moving toward nearest colonies, as it stands now, that would be Altair. So that's a potential look-ahead problem that we might want to address. That might force me into making a stand a little more forward than I would like. But in that ramble, I'm looking at Scout 2 to J8. They find Vortigern, which on the one hand, I don't mind it being... Actually, that's really helpful, because I can get another colony ship down here, so it's clustering them up, which means I can get my colonies built up quickly. Then Scout 3 at K9. Is going to find... That's Sheldon. So we're getting all of our planets out of the cup. Which I'm definitely not minding that idea. It actually kind of helps with Sheldon, because now we've got another colony for this Doomsday Machine to potentially go after. So that's the only thing I don't like about it, though, is that it is that far forward. But I think we can probably work with that. And I definitely feel a lot better about having another colony out there. But now we're into round 2, which means we are going to have to plan on building another colony ship this round, most likely. So I'll bring this colony ship down to Essen, this one down to Fiona, and I'll bring this colony ship down to K7. When do I declare that? I gotta look something up. I gotta see when I need to declare that a colony ship is stopping, because both of these two colony ships are stopping to form colonies this round. Maybe colonized by a colonial ship. That's what I want to check on. When a colony ship colonizes a planet, that's probably going to be during not the exploration phase. Okay, so place the colony ship side up on the planet marker. You may do this in the same turn. So it looks like I just declare when the colony is starting. So during the movement phase, these two colony ships are now moving, are now stopping to form a colony. So we just declare that the colony is being formed. So we just announced colonization, and okay. So those two colony ships are done. As for the rest of our scouts, Scout 1 will move down to K4. Scout 2 will move over to... yeah, actually, let's move it this way. I8 for Scout 2, and J10 for Scout 3. So first, let's see what Scout 10 is doing. Let's see what Scout 1 finds on K4. More minerals. Well, we're probably going to, assuming we don't need to replace our scouts, we might want that miner. We might want that second miner. That's a question, though, is do I want it now, or do I want it once I get one of these colonies set up? And I can build a shipyard. I might want that later, to be honest. I think I forgot to move that miner back up, but we're going to go with 5 minerals for Scout 2. And Scout 3 over here at J10. And the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking I probably want the second miner to come later, and I want to build it somewhere in this mess. And Scout 3 finds more minerals. Okay, I don't hate that in the slightest. So now we're into turn 3 of the round. So first things first, let's bring this miner 1 back up to Altair with those 5 minerals. Then this colony ship's going to move down to Vortigern. Scout 1 is going to move to J4. Scout 2 is going to move over to H8. And Scout 3 is going to move over to J9. And the colony ship that's moving into Vortigern is now stopping to start a colony as well. So, let's do some exploration. Scout 1 over at J4 is going to find more asteroids to play havoc with our attack forces. Scout 2 over here at H8. Five minerals. And Scout 3. Athos. So we've got another planet over here in this. So we've got another planet over here. Let me grab my laser pointer. In this gigantic cluster down here. So that's actually going to provide me a lot of protection against this Doomsday Machine. A little bit against this one, assuming I get a colony up to Sheldon. This Doomsday Machine's also well protected, whereas these two are very vulnerable. So, right, that was turn 3, so now we're into the economic phase of the round again. So now we're collecting colony income, which means our colony income right now is 20 from Altair once again. Plus another 5 from the minerals we brought in. Okay. Let's see, then I'm not using mineral CPs, so that'll bring me up to 27. I do have to pay 3 for maintenance, which leaves me 24 to spend. So what do I want to spend here with that in mind? Or do I just want to sit tight and plan on getting some shipyards down into this cluster, because I'm going to be forming 3 new colonies this round. I can carry up to 30, I believe I can carry up to 30 CP forward. Right? Yes. Carry over max 30. Well. Well, I definitely want shipyards. Used to build ships and upgrade, never moves. Okay. So. Well, like I said, I think I want to build I think I want to get shipyards into this cluster once we start getting planets all set up. And I did pay my maintenance already, so now we're on purchasing units and tech. What to do. Like I said, I'm thinking it's a case of... You know what? I am actually going to spend 8... to buy another colony ship, because actually I need... Or do I wait even on doing that? I was thinking about buying some colony ships to get down to Athos and Sheldon, but I think I might want to wait on that another round until I get shipyards deployed. Until I can get at least one shipyard into this mess somewhere. So yeah, I think we're even going to sit tight on spending anything, with a plan of doing something into this cluster down here. Actually, yeah. So I'm going to be waiting at least 2 rounds to do that, because I can't build at a shipyard the same round I build it. Which means if I move something, so if I build one of my shipyards here, I can't build at it the same round. And honestly, I could get... Actually, if I build 2 colony ships up here in Altair, I'm trying to look at the map here and think how I want to do this. If I build 2 colony ships up here in Altair, I could get both of them over to Sheldon, and Athos, but it's going to take me all 3 rounds to do that, which that's probably fine. So I'm going to spend 16 of my CP. I'll carry 8 into the next round, but I'm going to build 2 more colony ships up here at Altair. And I've already done the place units. Now we increase colonies, so now all 3 of these are going to turn into colonies. So I've got colony 1 chits for those. Oop. 1, 1, and 1. So now that'll help me in the next round. And I've just done increased colonies, so that'll help me now. That'll help me now getting more CP in there. Plus, there are also additional delivery destinations when I start going mining. So now we're into round 3, and I'm carrying 8. I'm carrying 8 CP forward. Let's see. So what do I want to do here? I think our scouts are going to keep exploring. What's left in there? Looks like we've got 2 more planets in there. Well, I think we're going to stick to the plan here of the colony ships moving. They'll move together. They'll both move into L8, but then they're going to break off at this point, as one's going to go into K8, another one's going to go into L9, with the goal of getting them down to Sheldon and Athos in this round. Let's see, Scout 1. Actually, this miner is going to move down to K7. I want to go after these minerals next. And I can bring them to any colony. Let's see, Scout 1 is going to move over to J5. Scout 2 is going to move over to H7. Scout 3 is going to go into I9. So we're moving into deep space for the first time. That's what the white block is for on that space. I've got my white block bag over here as well. That should be everything. Yes. Just making sure I moved everything. So Scout 1 is still in our space. And it finds Cerberus. So now we've got a planet that's somewhat vulnerable to this, that's very vulnerable to this Doomsday Machine. I'll definitely want to do something about fortifying that. Scout 2 right here at H7, which is 2 spaces away from this Doomsday Machine spawn point. We've got a lot of time, though, before the first one even comes out, so I do need to keep that in mind. Omicron, so we need another colony ship for that. And then Scout 3 is actually in deep space, so I'll be drawing out of the Deep Space Cup, which you can see has all of our white-backed chits in it. So we'll give that a quick shake, and then I'll draw from it. Whoop. As I send a couple flying. We'll put those back in. There we are. So here's what we find for Scout 3. Warp point 2. So if we can find the other warp point 2, we can use those to warp across the board. We can use those to warp around the board. Ideally, so warp point 2 is all the way out here. Ideally, we find it somewhere else in the board. I don't want to find it over an I-10 or something, and then that warp point is essentially useless. Okay, so now we're into turn 2 of round 3. The first Doomsday Machine comes out in round 7. So turn 2, these 2 colony machines are going to, or 2 colony ships are going to split up, headed for their respective destinations. This miner is going to grab these minerals, so joining the colony ship. As for scouts, Scout 3 is going to continue scouting in deep space. Scout 2 is going to move over to H6 in our space. Scout 1 is going to move to K5. So let's see what Scout 1 finds. Another 5 minerals. Right there. Scout 2 is still in our space, but just barely. We're rapidly running out of our space chits in our space cup. So here we find another 5 minerals, and Scout 3 is in deep space once again. So back into the deep space cup we go. And here we find another nebula in deep space. Okay, so that affects our ships, but it won't affect the Doomsday Machines when they start deciding they want to party. Turn 3. Let's see. Well, I think Scout 3 is going to explore jail, is going to continue scouting in deep space. So the question is, where do we want to move him? Actually, he's down here. Let's move him down to H11. By the time he scouts this side of the board, we might not need that scout anymore. As for Scout 1, we'll bring it down to J6. Scout 2 will move up to actually, let's have Scout 1 head into deep space as well. We'll let Scout 2 continue scouting here. That way, after we make a loop, we can send Scout 2 into deep space in this direction as well. So Scout 2 will move to I6. Then colony ships will reach their destinations. Miner 1 will deliver these 5 minerals over to Vortigern. As it's a colony, I can deliver there. These 2 colony ships are stopping to form colonies at this point. So that'll bring us into another economic phase. We'll start off by collecting our colony income, which is 20 from Altair, plus 3 from our colonies that are set up over here. So 20 plus, that should be another 5 Phoenix. So now that brings me to 33 on the colony income. But I do have to pay maintenance of 3 because I've got 3 scouts. And that leaves me 30 to buy with. So now I think is the point where we start kind of putting up on dealing with these shipyards. I'd like to get some of them a little bit more centrally deployed. I've got all 4 of them up at Altair right now, but I would like to move them toward the center of the board. Oh, we actually forgot to do scouting. So we're not quite in the economic phase yet. It's entirely possible we may not have to pay some of our maintenance costs. Let's see what Scout 1's doing in deep space. Whoops. Herp-a-derp. Oop. Got 2 out. Okay, there we go. And we pull out a 10 minerals for I4. Scout 2 is in our space. That's I6. We've only got 3 chits left in here. And we find Antares. That's yet another planet in this cluster. And then Scout 3 is in deep space as well. So here we'll find Centauri, which is a barren world. So if we want to colonize that, we will need terraforming to get to that. The only reason I might like it is because the only reason I might like that as a potential colonization target is because there's a Doomsday spawn point right here, which we could pull immediately back and buy us a little bit of time to deal with. So that'll give me a little bit of food for thought on how I want to deal with that. So nothing else changes in the economic phase now, which means we're at 30. So we have 30 CP to spend. Now with the appearance of 2 barren worlds all of a sudden, actually I thought it was 2. Let's see, 10 minerals, Antares, okay, nope, just the 1 barren world. I'm not in a huge hurry for terraforming just yet, but it is something that I might need to keep an eye on for a little bit later in the game. So, now I do think I want to start moving some of these shipyards more into the middle of the board. The only thing I don't like about them is putting them a little bit far forward, maybe for comfort, but I can probably still work with that. So we are going to spend 12 CP. I'm going to build at least 2 of these shipyards, but I'm not sure yet where I want to put them. So I'm going to bring 2 down from Altair. And I have to remember, too, I can't build at those shipyards this round. And I don't really need scouts right now. I don't think I really need any more scouts right now, especially if our existing 3 scouts are able to scout all of these cleanly without getting picked off. So I think we're going to sit tight there. We've still got another 4 rounds before the first Doomsday Machine. Actually, we've got another 3 rounds before the first Doomsday Machine comes out. So I don't need to build up my attack forces just yet. I do need to have an eye to that, though. Yeah, I think we're just going to carry... no, we're not, actually. We're going to spend 10 on ship size technology, so we can start building. Start working our way up to a little bit bigger ships on the shipyards. So that'll mean I'm spending a total of 22. I'm carrying 8 forward into round 4. Now I've got to figure out where I want these shipyards. I think we'll put... So I'm doing a horrible job tracking this, but I think we'll put 1 shipyard at Fione, and we can take these minerals off the board, and we'll put 1 at... Let's put 1 at Essen as well. That's how we'll handle that. Now we increase colonies. 3 become 5s. 3 become 5s. Then 1s become 3s, which these 3, will become 3s. And then these 2 new colonies will become 1s. Oop. There we go. And now with that in mind, we are in to round 4. I think we're going to stick with our scout plans here. We'll send Scout 1 into deep space. Scout 2 is going to scout J6 up here. Scout 3 is going to grab I-11 over here. And now we've got minerals for days over here. So I'm going to send this miner over to I-8 to grab that mineral, which I'll plan on bringing that over to Essen in turn 2. And we didn't actually build any colony ships this round, but that's fine. We can deal without them. Let's make sure we moved everything that I wanted to. We did. Okay. Scout 1 is still in deep space, so let's see what Scout 1 finds. If we can get away with only needing 3 scouts this round, when I start building for attack, that will be very helpful. That's a black hole, so now I've got to roll. So now black holes mean I have to roll to see if my ship survives, I believe, right? Yes, on a roll of 1 to 6, it survives. So we have to see if Scout 1 is going to survive. We'll bring the dice tower in shot. And here I need a 1 to 6. That's a 6 exactly, so that'll work nicely. The black hole then I believe comes off the board after we confirm it survived, right? No, actually it stays there. So we do need to keep that in mind, that now we've got a black hole right here, but odds are we're not going to be going back there again. Scout 2 is over here in our space. We've got 2 chits left in here. And we pull out. We pull out the barren world. Okay, so now we might need to upgrade on terraforming. I wasn't going to do that earlier, but now we might have to. I-11 for Scout 3. Danger, which takes out Scout 3. That's unfortunate. So now we might have to plan on rebuilding. We're going to have to plan on rebuilding that Scout 3. But fortunately, we can put it down a little more toward the middle of the board here and actually get it scouting again fairly quickly, assuming I want to leave this area untouched, which is actually not a completely terrible idea. Let's see what turn 2 brings in round 4. Scout 1 is going to continue scouting in deep space for J3. Scout 2 is going to... Scout 2 is going to move over to Antares. Now Scout 3 is out of the board. So Miner 1 is going to bring the mineral points back to Essen. Scout 1 is going to continue exploring in deep space. Here we will find Warp Point 1. I would have loved this to have been Warp Point 2, but now we've got options. So now if we find Warp Point 1, maybe that's a reason to rebuild Scout 3 and send it back exploring up here. And then Scout 2 doesn't have any exploration to do this round. Turn 3, we'll send Scout 1 up to K3. Scout 2 is going to move down to these 5 minerals. And then our Miner 1 is going to move down to H8 and pick up those minerals. Our only exploration this turn is Scout 1 in deep space. So let's see what Scout 1 finds. So what we find here is, a supernova. Supernova dominates. Okay, so we have to retreat right back into Warp Point 1. Fortunately, we're not retreating right back into the black hole that we came out of a turn ago. So we get away with 1 there. Scout 2, once I find what I did with my pencil, Scout 2 is down here, so we're going to send them. So we're going to send Scout 2 into deep space around here and start exploring. Let me actually move the tower out of the way now that I no longer need it in shot for the time being. Okay. So now that we've got that sorted out, now let's move into our economic phase. So we'll start off by collecting colony income. We've got 20 from Altair, 9 from these 3 colonies for 29, 30, 31. 31 CP plus the 5 we were able to bring into Essen. which will give me a total of 3944. Minus 2 because we only have 2 scouts on the board right now. One got flattened. So 42 CPs. Now what do I want to do with those? Well, I did want to build a miner, so that's going to be at least 5 CP. I'm actually going to grab a dial. I'm actually going to grab a couple of different dials. I got to move some of these games out of my way so I can. But what I'm grabbing these for is so I can track my spending and be able to total it up a little bit more easily. So I got 5 so far on ships. That's planes I'm using for ships, and forest I'll use for technology in case I want to spend anything for technology. Actually, that second miner might not be as useless or as useful as I thought it would be. I wonder if there's a reason we might want... We would need cruisers for exploration to be worthwhile. Let's see. Given that we've got... Well, I think we are going to rebuild that Scout 3 that got destroyed. So that's another 6 that we're building there. That'll bring us up to 11 points. That'll bring us up to 11 CP on ship spending. I can't even build a cruiser until I get up to... I can't build a cruiser until I get up to ship size 2. Which... That might be worthwhile, actually. But I would also need to spend on exploration... Actually, I would need to spend... No, I wouldn't need to spend on exploration right away. Let's see here. Well, we're definitely getting to a point where CP is going to start becoming less of an issue for us. So we're at 11 that we've spent now. We have 31 left. So we have 31 left. We could do some technology spending if we wanted to. Let's see. Actually, we're going to spend on move. We're going to spend 20 on move as well. Because I want these ships to be a little bit more mobile. Although I don't think miners care about mobility. I think they always move at 1. Yep, they always move at 1. Alright, so that's going to be movement spending. Let's see, 31, so I have 11 left to spend. I think 11... do we spend on... Actually, I don't think we can even... Let's see, 2. That doesn't... Ship size 2 doesn't let me build destroyers. Yes, it does, actually. It does let me build destroyers. I do need to start fortifying... I am going to need to start fortifying my attack forces pretty soon. I've still got a little bit of time before that starts to become an issue, though. Let's carry that last 11 CP forward for now. So that's 20 on technology and 11 on ship spending. So we are going to carry 11 forward into round 5. Then we're placing units. We're going to put... I'm going to put Scout 3 on Essen. And we'll put Miner 2... Yeah, we'll put Miner 2 on... Where are the minerals that I want to take advantage of right now? Minerals that I want to get at are primarily on this side of the board, which is also... I was going to say making me want to build another colony ship, but I think we're going to hold off on that for the time being. So I'll put this miner up here on Fione. And now we increase colonies. So these 3 colonies now become 5s, which means we flip over the colony ship, so they're full strength colonies now as well. And Athos and Sheldon both become 3s. And that brings us into round 5. So, now that we're in round 5, I think we'll go ahead and start exploring. We'll continue our deep space exploration. So we'll send Scout 1 up to K2. Scout 2 is going to go to H5. And where's Scout 3 going to go? Is Scout 3 going to head back for where it was exploring up here? I think so. So they're going to move toward I-8. So actually, before we do that, before we start drawing exploration chits, let's bring that 5 minerals back to Essen. Then we'll send this miner over to Anion. We're eventually going to grab this minerals and bring it back to, we can bring it back to either Altair or Fione. Alright, Scout 3 is not exploring. We'll start with Scout 2, as they're in deep space at H5. Excuse me. And they find Abydos, which is a barren world. That's really making me want to start into terraforming next. K2. Let's see what we find at K2. Okay, here's what we find at K2 for Scout 1. Lost in space. Oh, joy. Let's see, immediately shift player to the right. Alright, player to the right, except we don't have a player to the right, so how does that work in... So I gotta think about how that's going to work in Solitaire, since that's what I'm playing here. Because normally Lost in Space would be the player to the right, shift the unit 1 hex in any direction. I think the way we'll do that is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So Lost in Space is actually there. This kind of works, actually. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are rerolls. So we'll grab a D10 for that. That's a 2, so we're shifting that up to L3. And I think new exploration would happen here. At least that's what I'm going to go with. Because it's immediately moving into a new space. Must immediately be explored. Okay, so yep. We do explore it immediately. Let's see what Scout 1 finds in deep space on a bonus scout. Hopefully no whammy. Another black hole. That has potential to be a serious problem. Once again, 1 to 6. The Scout 1 survives. 7 to 10, it blows up. That's a 2, so Scout 1 survives. Now how do I get out of that mess is the question. I'll have to think about what I want to do about that. Let's see, and then that's everything there. Yes, okay. So that was turn 1. Now we're on turn 2. And I think the only way we get out of there is by heading in this direction toward our... Not that. We head in this direction. Unfortunately, Scout 1 is going to have to take the scenic route to get back to its exploration plan. As for Scout 2, it'll move down to G4 as we continue having them explore in deep space. Scout 3, let's see, with Movement Tech 1, or Movement Tech 2, I should say, yes. So now we have options to move 2 spaces in turn 3. Let's see, Scout 2 is exploring deep space. Scout 3 is going to move up to H9, and we'll see what we can find there. So Scout 1, actually, before we do that, let's remember to move our miners out. Okay, now that we've got that sorted out, Scout 1 isn't doing any exploring because they're in the nebula. Scout 2 is down here at G4, which is in deep space. Let's see what they find. Let's see what that one finds. That's another nebula. Delightful. Scout 3 is over here at H9, also in deep space. And Scout 3 finds Ada, which is another barren world, which is really making me want to explore, making me want to push into terraforming, because we've gotten quite a few barren worlds coming up. We've got Abydos down here, Ada, Centauri, and we've got Anion up here. But we're in turn 3 now, where our scouts now have movement tech of 2. Miners only have 1. That miner will move over to K6. Miner 2, or Miner 1, is going to move down here to H6, pick up these 5 minerals. Scout 1 is going to move 1, 2, stopping in J4. Scout 2 is going to move over here to G5. Scout 3, unfortunately, can't get up to this cluster of spaces right now because our movement tech isn't high enough. Our movement tech would need to be at least 5 to get up to well, we could even theoretically get up there with a movement tech of 2, but unfortunately, we're not going to get there. So Scout 3 is going to go 1, 2, and set up to get back in here. Let's see, Scout 3 is there, Scout 1's here, so the only one exploring is Scout 2 and G5. And that's deep space. And we find Babbage, which is another barren world. Okay, so we almost certainly want to start getting into what's terraforming. That's what I was thinking of. But we're into our economic phase in round 5, so we start off by collecting colony income, which is a lot. 20, 15 is 35, plus another 6 is 41. And we carried 11 forward, plus we've got 5 mineral CP coming in at Essen, which is going to give me a subtotal of 57. Minus maintenance of 3, so now I've got 54 to spend. Okay, so now the question is, what do I do with 54 CP? Just getting my dials reset here for a new round of spending CP. That is a good question. Fortunately, we haven't needed more than our 3 scouts. There's definitely something to be said for strengthening move again, which lets me go 2 spaces in turns 2 and 3. That being said, I definitely need to have an eye on building up toward building up my attack forces eventually for when the Doomsday Machines start coming out. Although I've got all kinds of barren worlds that I want to start colonizing down here as well. To do that, I'm going to stick to my plan. I need terraforming for that. So I need 20 CP toward terraforming. I'm also going to want some more colony ships. Which if I put colony ships down here, I can get to... Actually, if I put down 3 colony ships, I can get 3 new colonies in here. Actually, do I have the CP left to do that? Terraforming, they would cost 8. Yeah, if I spend on colony ships and nothing else, I could probably make it happen. Let's see, coming from Altair, I'd go 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 1. Yeah, I think that actually works. So we'll spend 20 for terraforming and 32 for 4 more colony ships. This is a bit of a greedy play, but it's going to let me get my... It's going to let me start getting a lot more CP up when I really need them. That does mean I'm only carrying 2 forward into the round. So now let's spread out these colony ships as we go ahead and place them. So we'll place 1 on Altair. Let's go 2 on Theon. And 1 on Essen. That way I can get to all 4 of these worlds and potentially set something up. Potentially start setting up to be able to colonize some of these barren worlds. Actually, I can get down here to Ada as well if I want to. But that'll be a project for a later round. Speaking of, well, before we get into later rounds, we do need to increase colonies, which right now is turning Athos and Sheldon into 5s. Okay, so now we've got a whole bunch of colony income coming in. Alright, now we're into round 6. Okay, so that brings us to turn 1. Scout 1 is going to move... Scout 1's actually going to move into Warp Point 1. I really want to make sure I avoid that black hole if I can at all help it. Scout 2 is going to move down here to G6. Scout 3 is going to move into J11, back to the cluster of spaces I had assigned it to explore. As for Miner 2, we'll bring those 5 mineral points up to Altair. Then the colony ship at Altair will move into L6. Then we'll send a colony ship into Anion. Actually, we'll send 2 colony ships into Anion. Actually, no. This colony ship's heading for Cerberus. We'll send this colony ship to Antares, and this one to Omicron. And the 3 colony ships here on J6, I6, and H7 are all going to stop and start colonies there. The plan is to bring this colony ship down to J5 on Cerberus and make a colony there. Let's see, I moved all 3 of my scouts. So Scout 2 is at G6, that's deep space. He will explore. And he will find 10 minerals. Now that we've got miners that are starting to be active more toward this end of the board, we can probably start grabbing more of those bigger mineral points. Then Scout 3 at J11, also in deep space. Is finding asteroids, which once again plays havoc with our attack forces. That was up here at J11. Okay. Turn 2, Scout 1 is going to move over to J2, continuing deep space exploration. Scout 2 is going to move down here to F6. Scout 3 is going to move over to J12. This colony ship's going to continue moving towards Cerberus. And what do I want my miners doing? This miner 2 is going to move over toward L8, grabbing this 5 minerals to bring it down to Sheldon. Then where is miner 1? Bringing a 5 minerals, Chit, up to I6, eventually heading for Essen with that. Then we go into exploration. Scout 1 in J2 is exploring in deep space. Let's see what he finds. Another Lost in Space. Great. Alright, this time I have need for a D6. Because there's only 3 spaces he could move to. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wouldn't mind a 5 or a 6 here, honestly, because that's another free exploration. That's a 2, so he's moving back up toward Lost in Space, and now I need the D10. 1, 2, actually, I don't think I can even move into... I don't think I can move into the supernova space, can I? Nope. Alright, so I actually don't need the D10, which means I just need the D6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 1, so now I need the D10 because I need to see if Scout 1 survives. And it does, still. That's great, though it's stuck in that loop. Scout 1 has been having horrible luck today. Scout 2, where did Scout 2 end up? Down here at F6. So Scout 1... Honestly, I wouldn't even minded Scout 1 getting blown up. Because I'm getting near to a point where I don't need my scouts anymore because I'm exploring most of space. So Scout 2 will find another 10 minerals down here at F6. I wouldn't mind getting a ship down here, a colony down here at Babbage, if nothing else than to take advantage of these 10 minerals. Scout 3 is also in deep space. With a black hole for Scout 3. So we need to roll for Scout 3 as well now. That's delightful. That's a 6, so Scout 3 also survives. Which is fortunate-ish, I guess. Alright, turn 3. Alright, Scout 1's going to move 1, 2 over to L5. Our move tech lets us do that. Scout 2 is going to move 1 to F5. Scout 3 is going to move up to K11. As for our miners, actually, the colony ship heading for Cerberus is going to get there and stop. Morning, Jay. Glad to see you guys stopping by. Hopefully you guys are enjoying a little bit of me dirtling around here in Space Empires 4X. Let's see... I want to make sure I move both of my miners as well. They always have ship speed of 1. I'm actually going to bring this miner to 1 down here to H6 with the plan of grabbing this 10 minerals at G6 and bringing it up to Omicron once we establish a colony this round. As for miner 2, where did that one end up? Oh, it's up here. I had it moving toward L9 because I was going to grab this 5 minerals. It's up here at L9. It might be a little bit hard to see, but we are going to eventually bring that to Sheldon next round. And that is everything. You have this game. Jay has this game. Needs to get it back to the table. It is actually a lot of fun. When I first played this game back in 2023, when I first started this War Room Challenge, I wasn't exactly sure about this game. More economic-focused games aren't usually my cup of tea, but I think the theme really helped me out in this one. I think the theme really helped me out for this one. Really helped me warm up to it. Let's see, we carried 2 forward, we've got our colony points, which we're getting a lot of colony points this time. So 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, right? Yes. Did we bring any mineral points in? We brought another 10 in. Which those can go back to my bag. Which means I start off with a total of 57 CP, once again. But I do have to pay maintenance of 3 because I've got my scouts out. Right? Oh, we never explored for the 2 scouts we needed to. So hang on. Once again, somebody decided to be an idiot and forget to explore. Scout 2 at F5. Another black hole. I swear, my scouts like finding these black holes today. But we might be near a point where we actually don't need Scout 2 anymore. Because all we've got left to explore in deep space is here, here, and up here. Plus, I think we're getting to a point anyway where we might need to start building for attack. That's a 4, so Scout 2 does survive. Let's see what Scout 3 finds. I'm really looking forward to the next expansion for Space Empires as well. All good things. I do need to get the expansions out on the channel at some point. Let's see what we find here. We find another 10 minerals at K11. Okay, so nothing else changed from what I was... Nothing else changed from what I was starting to do in the exploration phase. Maintenance of 3... which brings me down to 54. Okay, so... what to do? Well, now we're probably near a point, as I mentioned, where we're probably going to want to start thinking about attacking here, about getting ready for a fight. So I think with that in mind, just double checking here, shipyards. Shipyard 3 would cost me 25. That would let me build 2 hull points. I would need to start building ship size as well to get to some of my bigger ships. So those would cost me 15. That would cost me 40 CP to do that. I'm going to have a lot of colony points coming in this next... I'm going to have a lot of CP coming in this next round. Especially since I'm establishing 4 new colonies. That will really help. I mean, it's going to take time to get that in business, but... it's going to take time to get that in business, and I'm hoping that the roll is low to spawn a... hoping that we've got a low roll to spawn a colony, to spawn a Doomsday Machine. That way I've got time to build my forces up. So that's going to be 40 CP. That'll let me build... so yeah, we're going to spend 40 points on ship size and shipyards. That will let me build... so ship size 3 will let me build cruisers, and shipyard 2, actually shipyard 3 we're at now, will let me build 2 hull points per shipyard. Let's see, so that's 40 of my 54 points. And I think 1 colony point... I think 1 colony point... or not 1... 8 colony points on 1 ship. Which will put that down here at S. Actually, we'll pull that as a unit for the time being. Okay, so that was a total of 48 that I spent. I spent 40 on technology. Oop. And 8, which leaves me 6 that I'm carrying forward into round 7. I'll place the colony ship up here at Essen with a plan. Actually, do I place that at Essen? Actually, I think I placed it at Essen, but the question is, where do I go with it? If I bring it down to Babbage, I can send a miner to grab these two 10-mineral chits, but I'm doing that anyway with Omicron. Whereas either one's going to be very vulnerable to a Doomsday Machine that spawns around the middle rolls, so I do need to be mindful of that. So yeah, we're going to place that on Essen either way. And now we increase colonies. 3s go to 5s, which I don't have any of those. 1s go to 3s, I don't have any of those, but I do have 4 new colonies joining the Empire. So we've got a 1, a 1, a 1, and a 1. Okay. So now with 6 CP carried over, round 7 coming up, we'll bring our first Doomsday Machine out. So now I need to be building with combat in mind. So if I'm building with combat in mind, how do I go about that? Just resetting my dials for spending. Let's see. So what do I want to do here? Well, I think we start off with Scout 2 moving to... I think we start off with Scout 2 moving to Babbage, eventually coming over here to start exploring this section of the board. Scout 1 isn't really going to be doing much to help. He's going to try to move down here to try to explore these last 2 deep space markers. Then Scout 3 is going to move up to K10. Like I said, we're eventually getting to a point where I don't need the scouts anymore, and it's probably coming up sooner than I think, if I'm being perfectly honest. So this round may be all about starting to build combat upgrades. But let's see what we want to do here. I think we moved everything already. Yes. The only... miners. Miners and other ships. Let's see, we built a colony ship here. So we'll start off by having the miner grab this 10 mineral chit at G6 with the plan of bringing it up to Omicron. The question is, where do I want this colony ship on Essen going? Do I want that going toward Abydos, or do I want that going toward Ada? The only thing I don't like about sending it to Ada is if a colony spawns right here at H10, which would be a 7 or 8 roll, that colony is just doomed. So I think I want to send that. I could also send it to Babbage. It's not just doomed with a roll of 5, or a 6 to spawn a Doomsday Machine here, but it's not in real good shape either. I think the better play here is to send it toward... I think the better play here, honestly, is actually to send it toward Babbage. So I'll move that there. Then this miner is going to bring that 5 minerals into Sheldon, just like I planned. The only one that's exploring is Scout 3 at K10. Let's see what Scout 3 finds at K10. More asteroids. Not what I want to see when I've got to start building with fighting in mind. Nothing else is there, okay? So turn 2, Scout 2 is going to move over to G6. Miner 1 is going to move up to Omicron. Then this colony ship is going to move toward Abydos and Babbage. Actually, there's the same problem here with building on Abydos. I didn't even see that. Scout 1 is going to move over toward these asteroids. Then Miner 2 is going to deliver the minerals, pick up these minerals on J10 with a plan of probably delivering them, maybe just for variety's sake and to spread it out, we'll deliver them to Athos. Let's see, Scout 1 isn't exploring anything there. Neither is Scout 2 down here. Scout 3... Oh, we forgot to move. Scout 3 is moving up to L10. Actually, did we move the other... Yeah, we moved the other 2. So the only one that's exploring, as I mentioned, is Scout 3 at L10. So let's see what they're finding. All right, Scout 3 is finding Lost in Space, Joy. Let's see, we've got 3 possible spaces he can move into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as I need the D6 again. Honestly, I might just throw a D6 in this game permanently for something like this. That's a 2, so he's moving back to L9. And honestly, Scout 3's job now might be to be as a meat shield. Well, actually acting as a meat shield for a Doomsday Machine is probably a terrible idea. Because anytime they destroy a planet. Okay. So if we have the Scout act as a meat shield, as a ship shield for a Doomsday Machine that spawns here, that's probably not the worst thing in the world to try to slow it down. Plus, we can potentially get forces up there as well. Let's see, that's the only one that was exploring anything. So now as we move into turn 3, we'll bring Scout 1, 1, 2, because my movement tech allows that. Scout 2 is going to move over here to G7. And I think Scout 3 is probably going to stay put there and act as the aforementioned ship shield. Miner 2 is going to bring those 5 minerals into Athos. Let's see, this colony ship is going to move to Babbage with a plan of stopping there this round. And forming a colony. Let's see, so that was Miner 1 delivering that to Omicron. That space got very crowded. Let's see, we've got our other miner, I thought. Oh, delivering. Then this one is going back out to G6. With a plan of picking up these 10 minerals and bringing them up to Babbage once we get a colony established there. Okay, now we've got a big economic phase, because this was where the first Doomsday Machine's coming out. I'll grab a black die, and we'll see where this one's spawning. Got the tower and shot. And remember, the gold dice and shot are for where they might spawn. So 7 makes it a good thing that I didn't choose to go over to... Makes it a good thing that I didn't choose to go over toward Otto with that colony ship. Because it will be flattening... We'll be flattening Ada very soon from the looks of it. I believe they always move toward the nearest planet or the nearest ship or the nearest colony. Enter the economic phase. Always move toward the closest player colony. If they're equidistant, then a DM will always move to a colony that's largest. Okay? Alright. So now we collect colony income, which is going to be a lot now that we've got a lot of colonies established. Alright, so we've got 20 from Altair, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 6, 7, 8, 9 from colonies. Plus mineral CP. We brought in quite a bit of minerals this round. 5, 10, 20. Which gives me 75. But I do have to pay maintenance cost of 3. So that gives me 72 CP to spend. And now we need to start beefing up our attack forces now that our first Doomsday Machine has decided, yeah, we're ready to join the party. And we're at a world that I wouldn't say I was afraid of it going toward, but we definitely have a wall of forces around that. So I do want to fortify that more than a little bit. The question is how. So I've still got 2 shipyards at Altair that can build 4 hull size, and I'm at ship size of 3, which lets me build up to cruisers. So let's see, shipyards. So shipyards 3 can build 2 hull points per shipyard. I'm kind of thinking I want to beef up on my. I'm kind of thinking I want to beef up ship. Actually, let's beef up on. Let's do some tech spending here. We've got a little bit of time, but not a lot, because they move every turn, I think. Let me double check that. Never retreats from combat. Deep space, yada yada yada. Yeah, I think I saw something in an earlier play of this where they move every turn. So we definitely are on the clock for these Doomsday Machines. So I think with that in mind, let's see, with 72 to spend, I think we beef up a little bit on tech. So we'll spend 40 to get up to attack and defense 1 for everything. So that's 40. That's 40 on tech. So 40 on tech. That leaves me 32 to spend. Leaves me 32 to spend, so I go 24 on cruisers, maybe? Let's see, 24 on cruisers. And then plan on beefing up. Let's see, so they're going to move 1, 2, probably to Vortigern. So I think we're going to have to probably make a stand at Vortigern. Yeah, that's not ideal. And cruisers would only be hitting on a 4 and under on the. Would only be hitting 4 and under against the Doomsday Machines, whereas they're going to be hitting us on 7 and under, which is not great. And this first one's got a hull strength of 6. We've got 1 defense, as do they. So essentially, any of our upgrades are going to cancel each other out. Yeah, we could definitely bring the Scout down to help out. We could definitely bring Scout 3 down to help out at Vortigern. But I do want to. Actually, let me look at this again. So 64 is going to leave me 1 short of also being able to buy a destroyer. So I can't do anything about that. So I think that's what we're going to go with. 24 and 40 means we'll be at 8. We'll go ahead and place our new cruisers. We'll put them both at Altair, because I'm thinking Vortigern is probably going to be where we're going to make our first stand. So yeah, and now we increase colonies, which means our new 1s all turn into 3s. So now we have got huge problems on our hands with the first Doomsday Machine coming in. The question now becomes, we pretty much have to plan, as I mentioned, on making the stand at Vortigern. So I think with that in mind, Yeah, Scout... Actually, we've got to explore for Scout 2 as well. I've been terrible about remembering that, and for Scout 1. Let's see if that would have changed anything. A nebula. And for Scout 1... a black hole. Honestly, the answer is probably going to be no. The only thing it might change here is I might have one more CP, which would then let me build a destroyer if this scout gets destroyed. Which it does. So, yeah, I actually now have one more CP because of the scout getting destroyed, which means I didn't have to pay maintenance on that. Which means everything goes up by 1. Actually, would I still have enough to do that? Yes, I would. So yeah, I think we will spend the extra CP on a destroyer. And I'll figure out where I want to put it down. We've already built our cruisers at Altair. We'll put that down on Essen, since I'm expecting that's where we're going to have to make... Since I want that close to Vortigern, since that's where we're probably going to have to make a stand. Let's see. So Scout 2 could do a little bit of exploring, and then potentially come in to help out. So, yeah, Scout 2 could do a little bit of exploring, and then come in potentially to help out with being a meat shield on Vortigern. Which is a very high stakes game, because if we lose Vortigern, they're basically going to have an uninterrupted path going straight to Altair. They'll probably stop over at Fione. They'll probably just work their way through. That wouldn't make sense, though. It wouldn't make sense that they would stop at... Always move toward the closest... They always move toward the closest player colony. So actually, it looks like they... So if they lose Vortigern, they probably would move toward Altair. They basically run through all these colonies right here, which would be very problematic for us. But if we were willing to let them be sacrifices, it would buy us time to get our forces built up, although our resources are going to be getting chewed up to hell and nothing flat. But yeah, we've definitely got options there. We might potentially have to build up some colony ships to try to draw their fire away. And also we strengthen colonies, which we need to do that. So Babbage will turn into a 1 as this turns into a 5. Everything else will all turn into 5s as well. So we're definitely going to have a lot of CP to play with in this next round. But turn 8, or round 8 I should say, turn 1, this is probably going to end up being a pivotal round. Scout 3 is going to start moving toward Vortigern, since I'm expecting that's where we're going to have to make our stand against this first Doomsday Machine, way before I'm ready for that, and that was kind of on me. That destroyer is going to move there, these two cruisers are going to move here, Scout 2 is going to move toward F8. And that's the only unit that's exploring. We could potentially have Scout 3 come down and help out with doing some exploring down here, just to see if we can maybe get some more resources. So let's see what we find in F8. A danger chit, because of course. So Scout 2 gets flattened. Also, we had a lot of new maintenance buys this round. So we bought maintenance, we bought a destroyer and 2 cruisers. So we picked up maintenance costs of 5. I haven't been tracking that because maintenance costs have been pretty steady this game. So now Scout 3s are only scout out on the board right now, which might Also, the Doomsday Machine moves toward Ada and takes that out. That's a deep space chit, so I can go back to the bag. Okay. Now, reset my dials and get ready for round 2. Or turn 2, I should say. I think I forgot to move all my miners, too. We'll move that one down there. This one is going to move... he's going to Gitfo at this point. That miner 2 is going to Gitfo. Then we're going to start getting our forces here ready at Vortigern to make our stand against that Doomsday Machine. I think that is everything. Yes. So Doomsday Machine is moving up toward... Actually, closest player colony is any one of these 4. And Vortigern is going to take it closest to the home world, so that'll move there. And which is where we're setting up for Vortigern to make our stand. Turn 3. I don't think we just have no moves at this point, except for Miner 2 bringing a 10 mineral chit up to Babbage. And this miner is very much trying to Gitfo. Alright, and we are about to have our first combat of the game. As in the economic phase, Doomsday Machine 1 will move into Vortigern, and we're going to have a party down there. So that one is an attack strength of a D7. So there should be a chit in here for current battle. Yep, right here. So that's at Vortigern. I'll bring these dials out of the way for the time being. We'll arrange everything in order. Let's see. So based on letters, this is a D7. So the order goes something like that. Okay. And just to help me keep somewhat organized, I'm actually going to grab another color of D10s. So I can organize by attack strength. So I can organize by... Yeah, it'll be attack strength. So that'll be what the green dice that are about to show up under each chit are for. So the cruisers hit on a 4 or less, because this one's got a defense of 1, so yeah, 4 or less. 4. The destroyers also hit on a 4 or less, because we've got attack strength of 1, but they've got defense. The Doomsday Machines hit on a 7 or less, and the Scout hits on a 3 or less. And this first Doomsday Machine, we need to do 6 damage to it based on its hull size. So not great, but also not completely terrible. But let's see what we can do with this. And I think there's another chit in here that I can use to indicate who's attacking. Oh, we'll dummy some. Let's dummy something up here. We will take out... Okay. Yeah, we'll grab one of the chits that I returned to the bag earlier. So we'll grab this chit to indicate which... Actually, let's put that down here, because I'll move up with the damage markers as the Doomsday Machine takes damage. Alright. 4 or less on the cruisers to hit. That's a 7, so nothing there. The other cruiser... I'll actually bring the dice over on this side. That's a 6, so that one won't work. The destroyers also hit on... Actually, wait a minute. With tactics, they're considered to have a tactics level of 2. We are at tactics level 0, so actually, we need to flip these. The Doomsday Machine's going next. And this first one has, 4 5 dice, I think. Three dice. And the Doomsday Machine hits on a 7 or less. Alright, a 0. I'm trying to remember if Space Empires considers a 0 as a 10 or a 0. If they're saying... Well, that's going to be at least 2 hits. But it looks like they consider the 0 as a 10. Yeah, it looks like they consider a 0 as a 10. So that's going to be dealing out 2 hits, which means it'll take out the Destroyer and Scout 3. That's how we'll do that. That way, they don't get a chance to attack. I'm trying to be logical with this. So those go away. Then we're back to the cruisers. Cruiser rolls a 6. Nope. The other cruiser needs a 4 or less to hit as well. That's a 5. Nothing doing. Doomsday Machine rolls 3 or less. Which that will be 2 hits. We'll use that to take out the use that to take out our first cruiser. We cannot roll for crap today, and that is not a good sign for continuing in this game. What did I do? I had a cup out for the green dice, I thought. That's the gold. Oh, it's up here. Yikes. So yeah, this Doomsday Machine is going to run through my colonies and nothing flat. Unless somehow this cruiser can be the hero of the morning. That's a 4, so that's a hit on the Doomsday Machine. La-di frickin' da. That's 1 hit on the cruiser, so it needs to survive by a miracle. That's a 4, so that's another hit on the Doomsday Machine. Somehow, we need to roll high dice on this Doomsday Machine, or we're going to lose Vortigern. And yeah, Cruiser 2 goes away. It does hold damage, though, so that's not completely nothing. It's mostly nothing, let's be honest. So that's 2 damage on Vortigern, which means our line is pretty much broken. And yeah, they're going to start... That Doomsday Machine is going to start running through our colonies and nothing flat. We'll leave that down for the time being as well. We'll get the tower out of the way. I'll put that over here. Alright, going into the economic phase, now that the Doomsday Machine decided to break our line. Colony income, 25, 35, 40... Okay, I gotta count up my number of 5s here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 40, plus 20 from Altair is 60. Mineral CP, we brought... I was going to say, I thought we brought 10 in. We did. Did we bring anything else in? No. So that's a total of 70 CP. And I think everything got wiped out there. Yeah, everything got wiped out, so we have no maintenance this round. Which means we have 70 to buy with. Well, we know that Doomsday Machine is going for Fion next by its movement. So I think with that in mind, I definitely want to fortify that, like, basically right now. So I think we'll start off by spending 30. We'll start off by spending 30 on ships. That'll buy me 2 battle cruisers. So once again, we'll get my dials down here. So that's 30 on battle cruisers. Unfortunately, even if we go nuts on battle cruisers, we can't get them down. We won't be able to get them down to Fion in time. Because I could buy 2 more and put them up here at Altair, but because we only have move 3. We have move. What do we have right now? We have move 2. Yeah, I think what we do here, we're actually going to spend another 12 for a... We're going to spend another 12 for a base. I'm going to try to fortify some of these planets as best as I can. Yeah, we're going to spend... We can only put 1 base per colony, right? Base may be built at any... Only 1 base may be built on a single hex. Okay. So, I think... We are going to spend another 12 for another base. That'll bring me up to 54. So that means I've got 16 left to buy with. Would anybody be going before the Doomsday Machine? No. So the question is, do I go up to Tactics 1? Well... Against Doomsday Machine 1, tactics is not going to be a worry. So it's probably just... Do we just go cruiser again and hope? Can we even get the... What to do. I think we go... So we're at 54 right now. I think we go... can we even build the... Yeah, we can build a destroyer, actually. So we'll go another 9 for a destroyer, which will bring me up to 63. And then carry 7 forward. Yeah, I think that'll work. Actually, the problem is we can't get whatever we build. Whatever we build at Altair, we can't get to the. Whatever we build at Altair, we won't be able to get into Fion. Maybe we set that up. Maybe we set whatever we can't get to Fion at Anion. Maybe that's the play. And hope that they come through. And hope that when the Doomsday Machine gets flattened, or hope that when it gets weakened. When it destroys Fion, it takes enough damage that it won't just be healed back to full. So yeah, I think that's what we'll go with. 63, which will leave me 7. Maintenance costs, I bought 5 units worth. And I'm carrying 7 forward. Okay, so now let's place. Battle cruisers are going... as close to the action as I can get them. I'm putting 1 base at Fion and another one at Anion. The reason I'm fortifying Fion so much is based on a tie. It can move to either... The Doomsday Machine right now could move to Athos, Fione, or Essen. The tiebreaker is whichever one takes them closest to the homeworld. That would be Fione, so that's where they're going. That's for the Destroyer. I think we'll put that up. We got to put that up here at Altair, and then plan on having that Destroyer come down to Anion, and hope to every god known to man, and maybe a few known to monkeys while we're at it, and hope to a few known to monkeys that we weaken that Doomsday Machine at least a little bit. Unfortunately, it is round 9, so we have our second Doomsday Machine ready to come out this round, which is going to be a huge problem for us for obvious reasons. We're already having a lot of problems dealing with Doomsday Machine 1. We are in round 1 of the turn, though. So, Battlecruiser 1 moves up into Fione. Destroyer 1 is going to move to K6. And our miners are just... They're just trying to suck their thumbs and try to stay out of the action as best they can. We've got our other one over here, which will move up there. Maybe we can get these 10 minerals to Cerberus. But the Doomsday Machine is making friends with... Actually, that 2 damage would have been healed because it destroyed Vortigern. So, yeah. I totally forgot about that rule that when it destroys a planet, it heals 2 damage. So we've got our battle getting ready to go at Fione. Let's see. I'll move Doomsday Machine 2 out of the way for the time being. C... B, something like that, I think. Let's see, Doomsday Machine, those are orders. Everything is going to be straight rolls here because defense and all of that all wash out. So the base is going to be a 7 or less. Then a 5. Actually, then 2 5s. A 3, and a 7 for the Doomsday Machine. I thought I had a separate turn chit, but apparently I don't. Let me bring that up just a bit. That's what I've been using as my battle turn chit. And I put the tower down over here. Okay, we're definitely not in the best shape in the world here, but let's see what we can do here. Base hits on a 7 or less. Alright, that's a 3. That's 1 damage to the Doomsday Machine. Battle Cruisers hit on a 5 or less. And it's all, remember, it's all straight rolls because our attack cancels out with the Doomsday Machine's defense. That's a 9, so that battle cruiser doesn't hit. Also on 5 or less. That's an 8. 3 or less for the shipyard. That's a 3, so that'll be a hit on the Doomsday Machine. Speaking of the Doomsday Machine, it gets 3 dice, hits on a 7 or less. So that's 2 hits, which means the strongest unit... So the way I'm going to do this is the strongest unit it can reach is what it's going to take out. It'll take out Battle Cruiser 1. Then we're back over to the base at a 7 or less. That's a 3. That's another hit on the Doomsday Machine. 5 or less for the other battle cruiser. That's a 1. Shipyard needs a 3 or less. That's a 9. That won't help. 3 dice for the Doomsday Machine once again. If it takes out the base, that would be just bad. And that's only one hit, so it will wipe out the shipyard. Because that's the strongest unit it can reach. But that's the strongest unit it can take out in one shot. Base once again. 7 or less. That's a 7. Let's see if the battle cruiser can finish this Doomsday Machine off. 5 or less. It's tucked away, but that is a 1, which means we have defeated the first Doomsday Machine, and we've managed to save Fione. Space cheers. Yay! That is a big relief, as we managed to actually protect Fione. So now we can get ready for the second Doomsday Machine, and we don't have to worry about having our resources chewed up. Okay, that was a relief. Alright, now into turn 2. Unfortunately, there isn't much else to do right here. We're not really going to be able to react until we see where the... We will grab this 10 mineral chit, though, with this miner. We'll send him over in the direction of these 5s. And we'll fortify Fione for the time being. Right now we're kind of in a holding pattern until we see where the next Doomsday Machine comes out, which will happen in the next round of the game, which will happen in the next economic phase, which is coming up in about probably 30 seconds. Because this will be a fairly short round. Miner 1 will bring those into Cerberus, those 10 minerals into Cerberus. Miner 2 will go grab these 5 minerals. And I think that's about it for the time being. Back to the economic phase, Doomsday Machine 2 enters the game. It has a strength of 3, so it's a C8, defense strength of 2, hull size 7, and 4 attacks. So let's bring the tower back in and see where this one's spawning. Looks like everything's good there. It looks like I jarred one of my cables. We'll grab the silver die for that. That's a 1, so it's spawning. So Doomsday Machine 2 is spawning up all the way over here. Okay, that's not terrible, but we do need to bear in mind the Tactics Level 2 now becomes relevant with some of our units on the board. So, now we go into the economic phase like normal. I forgot how long this game is. I'm just watching the clock here. I've got my Arkham group coming over later. Colony income, we'll check our 5s. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4... Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 40. 63. Plus the 10 we brought in this round. 10 minerals. That's a total of 80. But we do have to pay maintenance costs. We don't on the base. Excuse me. But we do on the destroyer and the cruiser that survived. So we have to pay 3 maintenance. So that'll bring me down to 77. And the dial's back in shot so I can track my spending. What to do? Let's see, so what path is Doomsday Machine 2 taking? Looks like it's basically going to start on a straight... Looks like it's going to start here, then it's going to move towards Cerberus. So it's going to start here, then it's going to move towards Cerberus and start chewing through all of this. So with that in mind, So keeping that in mind, it's not going to get to Cerberus this round, so I do have some time to fortify Cerberus. The question is, how do I want to do that? I do need to spend on technology as well, because that tactics C, that C attack priority is going to cause us some problems, especially with them having a tactics level of 2. Unfortunately, we don't have the ship size to be able to build the biggest units that we're probably going to need. Oh, actually, I couldn't have built battle cruisers. Well, I'm going to spend 20 now to retroactively rectify that. That'll be a technology spend. Whoops, I cheated on that one. Didn't even realize it. So I'll make sure I can build that now. Then, do I go up to start building battleships? That actually doesn't feel like a completely terrible idea. So yeah, we'll actually go up to building... So we'll go up to ship size 5, that'll let me build battleships as well. 15 and 20, so that's 40 that I've spent. I've got another 37 that I can spend on units. 37 feels like that would be a battleship and a battle cruiser, which... Battleship and a battle cruiser. The question is, am I going to have time to get more than that? Actually, yes, I will have time to get more than that over to Cerberus, because I'll be able to get my battle cruiser and my destroyer over there as well. But unfortunately, we're going to have problems with that defense of 2. So let's see. So 40. I think that's what we do, though. We'll spend 35 as well. We'll spend 35 to build a battle cruiser and a battleship. All right, that will work. So that's 35, which means I have 2 left, but I'm picking up maintenance costs of 5. And let's see where I want to deploy these. The battleship is a hull size 3, so that has to go up to Altair. I don't have the space to put that anywhere else. But I can still get that over to Cerberus to help fortify that. The battlecruiser, however, can go straight to Fione, as that'll have a much easier time getting over to Cerberus, where our next stand is going to be. Increasing colonies brings Babbage up to a 5, and now we're into round 10. Hopefully I can wipe out this second Doomsday Machine before the third one comes out. So, now that we're in turn 1 of the round, let's see what we're doing here. Let's see. We'll start off by moving the battleship over to K6. Then everything here at Fione is going to move over to Anion, as we're getting ready for a fight there. Then the miner is going to grab 5 minerals. This one's going to move to K5. And I think that's everything we can move. Yep. So the Doomsday Machine is now moving toward Altair, which means it will move to L3, and it is, of course, unaffected by black holes. Then for round 2, or turn 2, we'll bring the miners in. Then we'll bring the battleship over to... Bring the battleship up to Anion. Everything else that can move there at Anion is going to move... wait a minute. I was going to have it try to move forward to Cerberus. Maybe better plan. I'm thinking about this. If it destroys 2 colonies at full strength, that's not going to do anything. So I think instead of doing that, I actually want to draw them back. I want to draw them back to Fione, where our defenses are much better. I don't want to fight this as far forward as I fought Doomsday Machine 1. That'll give me a little bit more time to fortify everything there. So I think that's a much better plan. Is we'll make the Doomsday Machine come to us. I think that's a much better idea. And the Doomsday Machine will move into the Nebula. Then 3, and turn 3, I think we just ultimately, I think the miners are both going to just Gitfo. We'll do that, and then everything else is going to sit tight. I want to make sure I can get as much firepower into Fione as I possibly can. Then turn 3, Doomsday Machine moves to K4. It's only round 10, so we don't have another Doomsday Machine come out. We do get colony income, though. Which now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 45. Plus 20 is 65. We carried 2 forward. Plus we brought in another 10 CP of minerals. 75, 77. But I do have to pay maintenance costs of 1, 3, 5, 8. Which brings me down to 69. And now we're buying. Let's see. So what do we want to do here? These are both red chits, so they will go in there. Let's see. Well, this seems like a round to fortify attack. Or to start fortifying some of our tech. So yeah, I think what we're going to do here is we're going to spend. Well, this is probably a round to try to do as much of both as I can, fortify tech, and get some more units out. Another level of attack turns the attack into a straight roll, but that's going to cost me 30, which is probably still worth it. So I will spend 30 on attack. Going through defense, that's a 1, which means they'll be hitting on a 6 or less against... Actually, they'll be hitting on a 7 or less if we buff up defense. Actually, they'll be hitting on a 7 or less unless we buff up defense. Which would cost me another 30. Then another destroyer. Let's see, they're attacking on a C, though. Question is, do we just try to overwhelm this second Doomsday Machine? And I think the answer to that is... The answer seems like it's probably yes. If I can build another battleship somewhere... Let's see, I'm at 5, so I could build another battleship. I'd have to put it on Altair, but it would be able to get down into the mess in Fiona, which is where, actually, that's Fiona, so that's where our next stand is going to be. Like I said, I'd have to build it at Altair because I don't have the shipyard strength to build it up there, but I think that's probably still worth it, is to spend 20 on a battleship. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So that'll be 30 on tech, 20 on ships, which will... I don't like leaving 19 hanging into the round. Although with another Doomsday Machine coming out, I'm probably going to need some resources back so I can figure out where the next Doomsday Machine is coming and what I need to get ready for that. So I think for the time being, we're going to gamble that I've got enough stuff here, that I'll have enough stuff here by the time we need it to take out that second Doomsday Machine, and then I can figure out what I want to do with the third Doomsday Machine. So I think, as much as I'm not crazy about the idea, I am going to carry 19 forward into round 11, and hope to every god known to man and a few known to monkeys that we can take out this Doomsday Machine coming in right here. So we're placing the battleship there. I've already placed... I don't have any colonies to increase, so now we're on round 11. I think the plan here is these guys are just going to gitfo, whereas the battleship is let me at 'em. Then in round 1, the Doomsday Machine 2 will move down to Cerberus, take that colony out, and it would heal 2 damage, but it doesn't have any damage to heal. Round 2 is going to look very simple. It'll move over to Anion, but it's actually going to have some combat there. We'll see how long the base can hold out against this Doomsday Machine. So the battle is up here at Anion. The base does hit on a 7 or less. Actually, we buffed up attack, so yes, these are all straight rolls. So 7 or less for the base versus a, 8 or less for the Doomsday Machine. Actually, that's a 9 or less because we didn't buff up defense. So we'll bring the tower in shot. This lone base is probably not going to get through this, but we'll see. So we need 1 die for the base. I'm just going to roll the attacks simultaneously, even though it's technically supposed to be 2 distinct rolls. We'll go through them in order. And with only 1 unit, if I had more units than this, I would actually roll the attacks in sequence. So we'll get the dials out of the way, so you guys aren't wondering what the hell is going on with those. I don't need those yet. Okay, so the base deals a largely inconsequential hit because the Doomsday Machine is going to flatten that base and take Anion with it. So Anion goes away, which means the damage that the Doomsday Machine would have taken is going to get healed. I'm going to move the chit there because it will be coming over in a second anyway. Anion goes back into my known space bag. Okay. Round 3 for my moves is all going to consist of all of the battleship joining the party. Then Doomsday Machine 2 moves over to Fion, and we've got a party there. Which I already moved the battle chit there. So the Doomsday Machine is a C. Let's see if that causes problems with anything here. It will cause problems with the Destroyer, but there's nothing I can do about that. Let's see, battle cruisers. Okay, these all hit on battle cruiser 1, battle cruiser 2. We also got the base there, which will do that. Set up my dice. We've got a 7. We've got a 7. Actually, yeah. 5. 5. 5. Oh, I remember what the other dice were for. I had defense dice that I was tracking as well, so I knew what units I was taking out. Okay, now that I remember what those are for, and since we didn't buff defense, everything hits on a +1. So the Doomsday Machine hits on a 9 or less. Okay. So now I will roll the attacks individually, but I will roll Battlecruiser 2 and the Doomsday Machine together. Oop. Base 2 hits on a 7 or less. We need to do 7 hits to this Doomsday Machine to take it out. That's a 3, so that's 1 hit on the Doomsday Machine. 5 or less for the battleship. That's a 9. 5 or less for the other battleship. Another 9. Wow, I'm having terrible luck today. Battlecruiser on a 5 or less. That's a 0, which I think we established is considered as a 10, right? Yes, they consider that a 10. So now we'll roll the Doomsday Machines attack along with the second battlecruiser. This time it gets 4 dice and hits everything on a 9 or less. The battlecruiser doesn't do anything, but the Doomsday Machine will do 4 damage, do 4 hits. It'll take out the destroyer so it doesn't get to shoot, and base 1, which is very bad for us because the base was the only unit so far that was doing anything worth a damn. That's great. Back over to Battleship 1, hits on a 5 or less. That's a 2, so that's another damage to the Doomsday Machine. 5 or less for the battleship. That's a 3, that's another damage. 5 or less for the battlecruiser. That's a 9. Rolling the attack for the battlecruiser and the Doomsday Machine together. Alright, so the battlecruiser does do a hit, but the Doomsday Machine will only do 2, which will take out one of these battlecruisers. So we're not completely dead yet. We're not too far from it, though. Battlecruiser, so Battleship 1 on a 5 or less. We need 3 more hits. How about some good dice rolling, guys? A 2 will work. Battleship 2. That's a 1. Okay, Battlecruiser 1. How about being a hero today? Not yet, but we're not completely dead yet. We'll roll for the Doomsday Machine. Yikes. Okay, so it'll take out Battleship 1 and do 1 damage to Battlecruiser 1 to make it easier to take that out. Over to Battleship 2, which hopefully can be a hero today. We need a 5 or less on one of these. That's a 5. That'll take out Doomsday Machine 2. Very nicely done, guys. So Doomsday Machine 2 can return to the box. And we are in round 11, so now we are going to be figuring out where the last Doomsday Machine's coming out. But it's also the strongest one on a B9. So tactics is a thing we're going to be needing to look at. All of that can go back to Fionn. Unfortunately, we did have to sacrifice a couple of colonies to get that, but we did manage to pull it off. Now into our next economic phase, we've got the last Doomsday Machine coming in. So let's see where it's coming to join the party. It's going to 4, so it's coming down here. So it's going to start with Abydos and basically carve a path. Actually, this kind of helps out because the way it's going to go, actually to the nearest colony, 1, 2. Yep, that'll be going toward Babbage. So the way it's going to go is it's going to take a looping path over. It's going to take a path here. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2. So it looks like we actually are going to have a lot of time to get set up here for defenses for Doomsday Machine 3. But I think that is, actually we'll go through this economic phase so I can start setting things up. I was originally planning on playing Silent Victory later today, but I think we're going to have a part 2 on this one. Since things are actually going decently well, I was figuring if I got my planets wrecked at any point during this game, I was figuring if I got wrecked here, I was just going to tap out and call it a game. But we actually have a pretty good shot at this one. So, now in colony income, like I said, I had to sacrifice some income to basically give myself a chance to win. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, plus 20 is 55. We didn't bring in any minerals this turn, or this round. We do have to pay maintenance of 5. Oop, 50, actually, hold on. Somebody needs to learn how to do first grade math, and that somebody is probably the guy behind the camera. 74, and we are paying maintenance of 5, which brings me down to 69 to spend. So, what do I want to do here? That tactics level of 2 is going to be problematic. So this one's on a B9 with defense strength of 2, which we already cancel out with attack level 2. Doo-dee-doo. What do I want to do here? We definitely need to build up some big firepower. So, is it just... Seems like the play here is at least... Let's see, ship size 6 would let me build dreadnoughts. Do I have time? Am I going to have time to be able to get dreadnoughts out on the board? Because they're going 1, 2, 3 this first round. That this Doomsday Machine's out. Then probably 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we probably have time. We probably have time to get to the dreadnoughts, but I'm going to build. Actually, do I want to risk putting a shipyard a little bit further forward? Because I could put a shipyard theoretically at Essen and be able to build my bigger ships further forward. That way, I can get to a planet where we're expecting to have to make a stand. Honestly, a good planet to set up for a stand is probably going to be Fion once again. So, let's bring the dials in shot while I figure out what I want to do here. This is going to be the last economic phase for now. We will pick this up a little bit later on today. Let's see. So, like I said, we're already canceling out their defense strength with our attack upgrade. Strengthening attack again would let me make them easier. Would let me make that Doomsday Machine easier to hit. So I guess the question is, if we start building a bunch of A units, actually they're rolling on they've got B initiative this time. So we might want to consider some tactics if I think that we're going to try to overwhelm this Doomsday Machine. Unfortunately, I'm at tactics level 1. I'm at tactics level 0, so I don't get any benefit from that. Doo-dee-doo. So I think what we do here... I don't think I need to build ships yet. But I will spend 6 to build my shipyard. Spend 6 to rebuild that, at least. I think I will probably be putting that on Essen, so I can start building my bigger ships further forward. So we will do that. Then I think I spend 20 if I'm going to plan on being able to build dreadnoughts, which I can't use that. I can't use the ability to build dreadnoughts this turn, but I'm not setting up for it this turn. Then I'm going to spend... So that's 26. Do I spend 30? Do I spend 30 on tactics to be able to benefit from initiative? And then 30 would be 56. I'd be carrying 13 forward. Actually, we can build a base as well. So we'll spend 30. We'll spend 30 on tactics. So we'll do that. So that's actually going to take me up to 50. Then I'll spend another 12. Actually, do I have this? Yep, I do have the CP to do this. I'll have one carryover. So I'll spend that to build a base. All right, and then placing units, we'll place both of these. We'll place the shipyard on Essen and the base on Fione. I have no colonies to increase, but we will come back later today, starting off at turn 12. So we'll come back to this later this afternoon. I was expecting to be able to play Silent Victory today, but we're going to have a part 2 to this game. I was also kind of expecting to end up tapping out, but things are actually looking pretty good right now. We'll come back, see if we can finish off this last Doomsday Machine. As for what else we've got coming up on the channel, I think tomorrow is actually going to be a change of program. I was originally going to play Star Realms tomorrow, but instead we're going to have the game of Silent Victory that I was going to do this afternoon. So I will finish up my War Room list for this year tomorrow as we play Silent Victory. Wednesday we'll have Pinot with Phoenix for April 2025. That's part of why I'm doing the schedule that way. Saturday we'll be in a new cookbook for Mystical Munchies, but I'll talk more about that during Pinot with Phoenix on Wednesday. As for next week, what are we doing next week? Next week, hang on a second. Let me take a look at my content schedule so I can tell you what we're doing next week. I don't think it's Wargame related, though. I'm almost certain it's not, actually. Nope, actually, next week is May the 4th on the Sunday. So to commemorate that, we're going to be playing Star Wars Force and Destiny. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care, everyone.